Do you guys know that failure is just a man-made word used to control others? What? You're talking politics now? No. Failure doesn't exist naturally. Failure is a learned behavior. Someone's got to teach you what failure is for you to understand what failure is. Look at a young baby when they get born. They try and walk. They're trying to learn to walk. How many times does that child fall? A zillion. Who's had a baby in their house recently or seen a baby try and walk? How many times did they fall? A lot? Do you agree? A lot? If the concept of failure existed in that child's mind, they would stop trying after a certain amount of falls. But what does exist is not failure. What does exist is feedback. See, every time I fall, I'm learning something. I'm noticing that if I do this, that's the result of the outcome. So what I do, I alter, I change the way I move. Until when? Until I get it right. Failure creates the reason or the justification to give up, to not try again differently. Hello? Feedback means, and there is no failure, there's only feedback. Feedback means I can do it again, but change the original way I did it. Do it differently. And through that, that's how we learn, that's how we develop. In language, you know, I love asking people that talk a lot about failure, that's got kids especially. I ask them, you know, what's the first word your child said? Who's got kids? Anybody who's got kids? Anybody? Let's show your hand went up first. What's the first word your child said?
They normally make noises, but
what's the first word they said?
Can't even remember. I think it was something like Nana.
Nana. Okay.
Which was for sweets.
Okay, most people think it's either Nana or it's Dada or it's Mommy or something like that, right? Okay. Do you know what the first word your child says? You see, your pot of knowledge says a word is only what you understand. But according to the child, they've been speaking from the first time they started making sounds. That's a word to them. The problem is you're not responding according to the word. So what do? They change the way they say it until what happens? Until you start responding. That's changing because of feedback. Learning because of feedback. Not failure. Failure says I'm not capable, so I shouldn't do it again. That child only really starts to understand the principle of failure once you start teaching them. It's a man-made concept. And we teach to people to discipline them, to control them, to manipulate them, to make them submissive. You've not failed in your life unless you choose to. And the only real failure that you can possibly have is making a decision to stop. But what you've had is a whole lot of experiences that has taught you a variety of different ways. One of the best examples of this was I almost said Darwin, not Darwin. Who's the guy that did the light bulb? Edison. One of his statements was, I found, you know, it took me 1,000 times to try and get the light bulb to work. And someone said, oh, you failed a lot of times. He says, no, I found 999 ways what not to do. And I love that statement. I absolutely love it because it speaks absolutely directly to that concept. There's no failure, that's feedback, it's information. every decision you've made in your life at that moment whilst making it, according to the information you had at hand, according to your state you were in, you made the best decision possible for yourself in that moment. Hindsight very often tells us we've made bad choices. I know I've made some really crap ones in my life, but in the moment of making them, I thought that was the best choice. Human beings always make the best choice in the moment according to information at hand. So if you've made bad decisions, number one, forgive yourself for being human. Realize you just part and say the same as the rest of us, because I think everybody in this classroom has somehow at some stage in their lives made a bad decision, right? Is anybody here that's never made a bad decision? Every choice was like perfect, wonderful, amazing. Please let me know who you are. Send me a private message. I'll come to your house. I'll worship you as a God. I'll sit at your feet. Is it possible that your client that's going to come in is going to feel bad about some of the bad decisions they've made? Yes. Now, if you believe in the principle of failure, you're going to empathize with them. You're going to feel sorry for them. The moment that happens, oh, that's so sad, eh? Your words, your state, the way you're going to communicate, who you are, is going to shift. And what you're going to feed in that client is their failure. But if you realize that there's no failure, there's only feedback. If you realize that person sitting in front of you has got the potential, the ability, the magnificence to have outcomes, to change, to develop, to grow, to learn, your whole attitude, state, the words, your reactions, responses is going to feed that. Which one of the two is going to be better off when they leave? Second one, right? So the first rule in coaching is teach your brain to think differently. Start becoming extremely aware of your own thoughts, your own words, your own state, your own emotional shifts. Let me explain the reason behind it. When the client is going to come and see you, by the time they come to you, they have already spoken to numerous other people about their challenge, either their goal, their problem, or whatever. They've had this conversation with other people. What's going to make you different if you only respond, react the same way everybody else does? Then you're not going to stand out. You're not going to be remembered. There's going to be no reason for the client to come back to you because you're giving them the same that they've been getting from everybody else. Your entire attitude, your state of mind, the types of questions you ask, the way you respond needs to be different. Because if they're getting the same as everybody else in the world's giving them, why would they come to you? And the only way you can give them something different is by you not submitting to the way things have been. Is by you reframing the way you think, becoming very aware of what are these thoughts going through my brain and retraining your own brain to start thinking differently.